Okay, this will be a short explanation about Queen Elizabeth I. As you can see on the left, you have some key words. Elizabeth I became queen in 1558 after her sister's death, and uh, she found a country where there were a lot of fights between Catholics and Protestants. So the first thing she did was to bring peace back to England. She was Protestant, but she did not really fight against the Catholics, which means that the English people loved her, and they loved her for all of her life. This is a very important thing. Elizabeth was a very loved queen. The first problem she had as a queen was that England was not an important country like France or Spain, so she needed to to find a way not to be invaded by either Spain, that was the most important power in Europe at that time, or France. Since she was very young, she was quite beautiful, so in a certain way she tried to convince both countries that she would marry the son of the king of Spain or the son of the king of France. And in this way, and she never decided, of course, and she never got married actually. So for many years, both France and Spain did not fight England because they thought that she might get married to one of the two royal families. In the long run, as I said, she did not get married, and actually she became known as you can read it, the Virgin Queen. She was not actually virgin, she had a lot of lovers, but she never got married and she never had children. And this was very important. At a certain point in her life, when it was clear that she would not get married, she, in a certain way, decided to convince the English people that she was actually married to England. So, in a certain way, she said, "I sacrifice my personal life for England," and English people loved her even more for this reason. Another thing she did was to create the pirates. Uh, Pirates is pirati. She gave to these pirates a royal patent. That is, they could be pirates secretly, and she gave them ships and cannons, etc., as long as they did not attack English ships. Of course, these pirates mainly attacked the Spanish galleons, the big ships that went to and from America, bringing gold and other stuff. Of course, Spain did not like it, but officially, Queen Elizabeth had nothing to do with these pirates. One of these pirates, the most famous one, was Sir Francis Drake, who was probably also one of Queen Elizabeth's lovers. Sir Francis Drake was a very brave man, and he fought a lot against the Spanish ships. At the end of his life, Drake became so important in England that he was made the admiral of all the English fleet. We will see it in a moment. Another thing that Elizabeth decided to do was to open a colony in America. The first colony was opened by Sir Walter Raleigh, who was this one was for sure one of Elizabeth's lovers. Sir Walter Raleigh founded a colony in America, and he called it Virginia, in honor of the Queen, because she was the Virgin Queen. Virginia is still one of the states of the United States. The colony in Virginia was never a very important colony, but for the Spanish, this was something terrible because officially all of America belonged to Spain, even North America, where the Spanish had never been. So they considered this colony as an attack against their property. However, the Spanish still did not try to fight against Britain because at a certain point they thought that they could win in another way. In Scotland, there was a queen, Mary Stuart, and she was a Catholic, and she was the cousin to Queen Elizabeth. If Queen Elizabeth died, she would become Queen of England because she was the closest relative to the Queen, since she didn't have any children. I mean Elizabeth. However, Mary Stuart lost her kingdom in Scotland because, as I said, she was Catholic, and the Scottish Protestants expelled her, and the crown was given to her son. So Mary went to England, went to London to her cousin, and Elizabeth gave her hospitality. After some time, Elizabeth understood that Mary was very dangerous to her because if Elizabeth had died, as I said, Mary would have become Queen of England. There was a plot, complotto, against the Queen Elizabeth in 1587, and Mary was considered guilty of this plot. Nobody knows if this was true or not, but in any case, Mary Stuart was executed. At this point, the Spanish didn't have any possibility to conquer England without a war, and so Philip II, King of Spain, who had been the husband of Bloody Mary, Elizabeth's wife, Elizabeth's sister, Philip, who was a very extremely religious man, decided to invade England. This invasion was organized, and Philip prepared the biggest flotta that the world had ever seen before. He called it Invincible Armada, Armada Invincible in Spanish, and he attacked England. There was no possibility for the English to win against this Invincible Armada, but in this case, and it was the year 1588, Elizabeth and the English were very extremely lucky. There was a big storm, a big tempest just before the ships arrived in England, so at least half of the Invincible Armada could not arrive to England. The ships were sent everywhere. Some ships arrived in Scotland, brought by the strong winds, and the rest, some of the ships arrived in England, but they shipwrecked, naufragio, on the coast of England, where the English soldiers attacked them, and the remaining ships were easily prey of the English ships of the pirates that had come back to defend England, led by Sir Francis Drake, and so the English won, incredibly. And Philip had to give up his fight against England. This event, 1588, is one of the most important events in European history, because this was the beginning of the end of the Spanish power in Europe and the beginning of the English power in Europe. England was still not a very important country in Europe, but now they could keep their independence without any risk with Spain. And so Elizabeth was even more loved by the English population, and she could remain queen until her death in 1603.